Dear friends, welcome. I hope you are all doing well. Today, we will discuss which features we can use more practically on a Mac computer when we get a new Apple computer to save us time. And some practices become standard for us. We will try to see these. We can call some things Apple shortcuts. But of course, I won't be talking about applications here. There is this application, there is that application. It saves me time in this way, or I found it beneficial, and so on. In different sections, I think we will cover them. There are many such equipment and so on in the background. We will touch on these from time to time, but not in this video, of course. Since we have returned to YouTube after a long time, I want to provide a practical answer to questions from some of my friends about how, what, and where to access when I get a new computer. After that, we will already return to our videos every week, and maybe even more frequently, possibly more than once. We will return to our videos and continue sharing. I am looking forward to your support. Liking, sharing, writing comments below, and expressing your good or bad ideas are very important to me. I also gain a lot of knowledge from what you share. What you write is very valuable to me as well. Now let's move on to some details. I would like to share a few shortcuts and small practical tips that work for me with you. Maybe you have already figured them out during this process. Some might call them little tricks in quotes. Let's go from here. For me, because it's immediately practical. Now, like in Windows, when we quickly snap to the right or left, it automatically splits some windows into two. But there wasn't such a feature here. On the Mac side, for example, let me open an artist, that is, a folder. Let me open another folder. We have a small thing here on them. When we hold the green, or maybe mine is from an extension, but normally when we hold down here, a thing appears where I wanted it to stay. For example, we say let's slightly move this to the right. When we press this as well, oh, I'm very sorry, I made a mistake. It did this exactly from the middle. When we hold this down and move it to the left, it splits from the middle. This is a nice thing. I would like to show it since it just came to my mind. For example, you ran a program. Actually, this is not a program, of course. A folder. When you immediately press Ctrl V, it sends it to the back. It doesn't completely close it. It doesn't actually quit. What should be a running program? I have a program like this. It's something that related to music, sounds, and instruments. When I do Ctrl W on this, if it's a window, it closes it. But since this is an application, we press Ctrl Q. Sometimes it requires pressing a second time. When we press it a second time, it exits completely. But let's say it doesn't exit and I want to recreate the same application. Again. In the meantime, you will immediately notice something. When I press the shortcuts, comment and space, it exits immediately from here. And when I want to open an application called Native, it becomes very practical for me. When I want to open X, or when I want to open Notes, we can access them immediately from here. Let me open the same application again. I opened it. But from here, let's assume we can't close it. We immediately go here. After saying force quit from here over there, we find this application. We can find and remove. It has native access from here. We saw that it still didn't close immediately. There is something called the activity monitor. But, of course, I opened it just like that here. What is the correct way? From within the launchpad. You might not see the launchpad here right now. So let me quickly take a small screenshot and provide it from here. Where is it? It should be F4. Now my keyboard is different. Oops. Sorry. This isn't it. You know, the place where the applications are. Yeah, here. When you type activity, it immediately appears, or from here, in the same way. When you type activity, the monitor appears. Let's say you're looking at the application you want to close. Let's say we still couldn't find it. When we type native, we find native, and from here, we can exit by doing a force quit. Apart from that, there's a screenshot taking feature. There's a story about taking screenshots. When we press Command Shift, I believe the shortcut for the icons will appear. When we press 3, it takes a screenshot of the entire screen. the screenshot of what we see at that moment. By the way, I have 3 screens in front of me. I can only take a screenshot of one of them. It takes an instant screenshot here. In fact, from here you can make some drawings. We have the chance to make drawings. Is this the pen? This is the text. And these are the drawings. You can immediately say share from here and send it to yourself. If you say done, it will drop the file onto the desktop. Let's delete it right away. But we don't want to capture the entire screen. Let's just say it's me. We want to take over where my head is. I pressed Command. I pressed Shift. When I pressed 4, it asked me for an area. I said, let me just capture this area. And there it is, just like that. I only captured that area. Also something I don't use much, but I have done. That's why there's such an option. When we press Command Shift 5 this time, there are options like, should I capture the selected window? Should I make it a bit smaller? Should I make it bigger? Or should I capture the entire screen? There are details. You want to record the screen? Now, I use a different application, but of course, it's also available within the system. It's available within the Mac as well. QuickTime. By the way, what did I do? I pressed Command Alt space. When we open QuickTime, we can select anywhere here. We select the desktop. It doesn't matter. Since we won't be creating a file right away here, you can cancel. The important thing is to open QuickTime. Here, if you record audio, the microphone, if you record screen, the area from the previous Command Shift 5 appears. We said we would record the video of the entire area. From here, there are small shortcuts like where to take the microphone from, where to take the image from, and where to send it after recording. Apart from that, when installing some applications, of course, let's not call it a risk, but it involves a certain risk. For applications that are not within the Apple Store itself, here's what happens. Let me try to show you that right away. When we press settings here in privacy and security, that application appears here. Its name, for example, it says, what should it be? Let's say Zoom. Zoom is not an Apple application, meaning it's not among the Apple applications. You are installing an application from outside. Are you sure? Sometimes some applications do not open. It says, I want to delete it. Actually, it thinks it's risky here because of this. I set it up from the App Store as App Store unknown developers, but third parties are generally considered unknown. When you press OK from there, it appears. The program becomes active. I took a couple of notes and I'm going through them. Of course, right now my laptop is off and in a state of, what do they call it? The screen is off. That regarding the mouse, reverse mouse, straight mouse, or double click, single click sections. I assume you know, but I would still like to show it because it came to my mind. So I came here. I came to the keyboard settings. Think of natural scrolling like this. On a tablet, when you push up, it goes up. But here, when you push up, the page goes down. It's a story to set the exact opposite of that. Apart from that, in the notes I took, we did the quick search. Frankly, as I said, I use this a lot. I mean, for example, what will I open there? Calculator, instant calculator, because I don't put everything under money. This is practical for me. When I close it from here, it goes away. By the way, when you run some programs or share a screen capture, you might not want certain things to appear. The icons and such at the bottom. Command, Shift. Today is not it. I tried it. Command, Option, meaning the option to the left of Command. Option. And D. When I press it, look, the bottom disappears. When I bring my mouse down, it does appear, but it still disappears again. This is not exactly what I want. When I press Command, Option D again, it comes back from here. It reappears. By the way, I will show you something interesting and enjoyable in my opinion. Actually, my desktop is not this organized. I usually hide it, but normally there's a situation like this. This is available in your latest update. There is something called use document groups. Now I will clear it and we will see the desktop. Actually, there is a whole world of things here on the desktop. What do they call it? There are files. There are folders. When using this file system, it says let me assign JPEGs to JPEG, PDFs to PDF, Word to Word. It categorizes documents, screenshots, and such into separate folders. When we press on the image and say use document groups, it happens instantly. It organizes them immediately. So where are they? When I press on documents, look, only documents. So what did you say? There are database files. There are ebooks. Here they are. There are music, audio files, etc. Besides that, for example, we have a disk in our hand. I'm moving to the side. Instead of just pulling it out like that, we can do it this way. I took this, I dragged it, and now it's in my hand. I mean, I did it with the left mouse button. I clicked. Look downwards. When I come down, I even let it go again. Let's pay attention to the trash below. When there's trash, it suddenly disappears. And it's as if we're throwing it into the trash. Actually, this is a way of saying safely remove. Details about the disk. Again, there's no need for this. When we say disk, the disk monitor comes up. I currently have a 4 terabyte disk connected. Here we have the chance to see what's left, what's finished. I formatted it with the exFAT format so it works on both Mac and Windows. Let's say there's information from here. You can switch to exFAT or its own file format. I apologize if you say delete, which APFS is a quick format here. Deleted items in the Apple system don't come back easily. In fact, there's almost no chance of recovery. But when you try to use it with Windows, it won't recognize the disk because it's only in Mac format. That's what I want to explain. When you install a program, there's no direct option. Most of the time, options like install, proceed, next are not available. Direct. It's installed with a drag and drop logic and can also be removed with the same drag and drop logic. For example, I want to remove zoom. I immediately hovered over zoom. If I do this, I can quickly go, I said show in Finder. Finder meaning this is inside the program files. I apologize. I took this, held it again. I took it, dropped it here. I will enter my password. I entered it. It removed zoom. Would it come back? I pressed Command Z because I haven't deleted it from the disk yet. I haven't deleted it from the trash. I entered my password again. Does it work? When we press it, it works. So actually, if we also clean it from the trash, we can think of it as completely removed. Besides that, I would like to show something. For example, we opened a folder. In this folder, there is something called hide the path bar. Look here. For instance, I took an output called mixdown. There is an audio file. Inside which folder on which path is it on? Because I can't see this. Right here, view. Show the path bar. It's Command, Option P, the shortcut. Command Option P. Look, it comes and goes. It's good for me. Why? Because when I see any file here, for example, I clicked inside this one. I clicked inside this one too. But I said it's inside these fonts where I have the chance to see back up to the iCloud drive. Apart from that, I included the screen managements that came to my mind. It could be like this. From time to time, especially after the last update, small updates like this come frequently. When we go to Settings, when we go to General, when you go to Software Update, now I am a beta user because I am in the beta developer class. It also installs every small beta, but of course it might heat up the battery or there could be some risks. This might not appear for you, so the way it will appear for you will probably look like this. Let's say it's done. Whatever is in the automatic updates will appear. If there is something below, it will appear, and when you confirm it and enter your password, you will have installed it. Now I would like to open a few nice applications. For example, let me open this, open that. For instance, let me open Home Assistant. Now a few applications have appeared in front of us. And, of course, they will appear one after another. Here, when we press Alt and Tab, it's like this. Just like on the Windows side, when I say Alt, I mean Command. And when I press Tab here, I have the chance to switch between programs. So I came and said, let me open VLC Player. VLC Player was already open here. If there was a video inside, it would have played it already. And of course, to exit from here, I pressed Command Q and it exited. Here I pressed Command Q and it exited. Let this load. Now it doesn't exit immediately. Look, it's flowing like an hourglass. Other than that, I'm checking immediately. Delete might not work directly, especially if you don't have a specific keyboard. I mean, some keyboards have it, but... So I'm just saying, let me click on a folder. When I say delete this, it might not have any meaning. I need to right-click and say move to trash. We can think of it that way. I won't explain about directly installing a Windows emulator inside a Mac. If you want, I think it would be both a bit complicated and unnecessary to install Windows inside when you already have a Mac. Let me close this right away. Besides that, I'm quickly taking a look. What else? This feature doesn't seem bad. For example, let's say library. We took this folder. We are going to take it somewhere. For example, we will take it into the users. When I hold it over like this, the folder opens immediately. That's a nice feature. Besides that, this is nice. As I explained, it comes back to my mind when we come to find the settings. Let's do it like this. In the sidebar. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about here. Of course, I have various shortcuts that I added for myself here, but for example, look, AirDrop disappears on the right side. The Applications folder disappears. Downloads like movies and music on my Mac. And I open the desktop in the iCloud section like this. Hard drives sometimes. See the hard drives, wondering where to find them, how to access them, and so on? Now, when we look here, I had named it Macintosh HD. Appears there. Right, click, okay. Comment is like this. It only closes the window, but okay, we worked on that. Okay. Thank him in the section of your sound card. Since it is a professional sound card, mine is the same. For example, when I want to turn the volume up or down, I can't do it from my keyboard. Of course, it needs to be done from the sound card. By the way, if there is a function key on our keyboard, when you press function delete on an external keyboard, it activates the delete function that wasn't there before. I showed how to remove a flash drive. Spotlight search. In Command New, it simply opens a new folder using the latest SON. Other. I can't think of anything else. I wanted it to be quick and practical like this. Screenshots application. Let me show you this one last thing if you want. For example, let's say where these are. What should it be? Let's say Home Assistant. I'm exiting from this. And I removed it. So, when I drop it into the empty space above the toolbar, or the dock, it doesn't remove it. It just deletes it. I immediately press the thing from the search. From here, what was it? Home Assistant. When I run it, look, it moved to the right side. But when I close this application, it disappears from here. Actually, I want Home Assistant to come up for me. So when I hold it here and drag it to the left side, I have pinned it here like this. There's also this thing. Who likes it? Now look at this line right here. The ones on the right are the recently used, and the ones on the left are what we've pinned there. Of course, there are a lot of icons here, but things are a bit like this. When we pull up and down, we can think of these as shrinking and growing a bit. I made it very small. Okay. At the same time, it's adjusted from here now, but when we right-click here, there are these small things, like the genie effect, you know. When we press this, should it come jumping? Should it stop? Should it just be a dot? Should it jump up? Shouldn't it jump? We have such interesting things. There are settings. Here we can also adjust the size on touch by dragging from the side, just like we did before. We also ran the application. When we hover over it, for example, the smallest clothing is like this. Look, right now there is no movement, but when I made it bigger, it increased awareness a bit more. I can say something very practical came to me. I would like to share it immediately. Now, when we enter the settings, we can say this. We will write hot corner shortcuts. Now, this is something like this. Now, when we type Control Desktop directly on the desktop, it doesn't work, right? I mean, on Windows it switches to the desktop. But here, when we press Command H, or the arrow needle, it hides everything. But I need to access the desktop immediately. So what do I need to do? Actually, I need to click on an empty space on the desktop. Yes, then I can access it. But if the windows are larger, it can be difficult to find the empty space. I had reset something like this. I'll show you. I make this the desktop. Let's say, what should I do with this? I'll make this the application windows. And these areas, what should they be? There's a quick note here. Let it be mission control. So, let each be something different. Now, what has happened? For example, I have a folder here, I have some things, and they take up quite a bit of space. Let's assume I won't click anywhere, that I can't click. As soon as I move the mouse upwards like this, I automatically access the desktop. I will move it to the bottom right. A small notepad immediately appeared here. To quickly take notes, let's go to the top left. Of course, since I have two screens, I will go to the top left of the other screen. Then all the windows have come in front of us. That is, whatever is open. I'm going far down to the bottom left. The windows have appeared. But here we can understand this much better. I think, for example, let me open 2 or 3 applications. Like this again. Okay. Let's do it like this. Let's do it like this. Okay. I'm going to the top left. It opened the last window. I'm going down to the bottom left. All the windows, I have separated them. At the same time, if I remember correctly, it was probably minimized. Control down is not available. Yes, Control up arrow. I press Control and then the UP arrow. Of course, the leftmost key is Control and the up arrow. Again, I access the windows, but right now, for example, I will directly access the desktop and go to a folder. I don't need to select the space in between. Dragged it top right. Snap. I dragged it down. My items came from here. My note came from here. I just wanted to show this right away. This to you, now immediately. I'm also doing something with the converter, uploading. See you, regards. Hello again. I tried to keep it as short as possible, because as we use it more, there are actually many things we gain practice in or wish for, like if only this or that were possible. In fact, some parts came to my mind at the last moment, and I added them repeatedly. Of course, I am giving it to you in a single form in the video. If practical information comes to my mind again, I would be happy to share it with you. I wanted to share it later. There are many things, because I am very excited. I have returned to YouTube after 2 years. That's all from me for now. Take very good care of yourself. See you in the next video. I don't know either. Let's see what we will share. Goodbye.